Hello. Welcome to Inspirational People. Let's know the inspiring stories of great personalities. George Washington. George Washington was born on 22nd February 1732 in Westmoreland County, Virginia. He was the eldest son of Augustine Washington and his second wife, Mary Ball Washington. The family was moderately wealthy and owned several plantations in Virginia. As a child, George received a basic education at home from his mother and a local school teacher. He learned about agriculture and farming, which would later serve him well when he managed his own plantation. When George was 11 years old, his father died, and he became the ward of his half-brother, Lawrence. Lawrence had served in the Royal Navy and was well-connected. He introduced George to a wider world of culture and ideas. In 1748, George began working as a surveyor, mapping out the Virginia wilderness. He quickly became skilled at the job and gained a reputation for accuracy and efficiency. In 1751, Lawrence died, and George inherited Mount Vernon, a plantation located on the Potomac River. At the age of 20, George became one of the wealthiest men in Virginia. In 1752, George's half-brother, Lawrence's death from tuberculosis left George with an even greater sense of responsibility. Lawrence's daughter, Sarah, became ill and moved to Mount Vernon to live with George and his wife, Martha. Sarah eventually died at Mount Vernon, and George and Martha took in her two children, which added to their family. In 1754, George served as a lieutenant colonel in the Virginia militia during the French and Indian War. He fought in several battles and became known for his bravery and leadership. In 1755, he was appointed as a colonel in the British Army, but he resigned the following year and returned to Mount Vernon. In 1759, George married Martha Dandridge Custis, a wealthy widow with two children. The couple had no children of their own, but they raised Martha's two children as their own. During the 1760s, tensions between the American colonies and Great Britain began to escalate. George became a vocal opponent of British policies and was elected to the Virginia House of Burgesses in 1758. He became increasingly involved in politics and was a delegate to the Continental Congress in 1774 and 1775. When the American Revolution broke out in 1775, George was appointed as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. He led the army to several important victories, including the Battle of Trenton and the Battle of Yorktown. Despite facing many challenges, he managed to keep the army together and maintain their morale. In 1783, the war ended, and George resigned as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. He returned to Mount Vernon, but his retirement was short-lived. In 1787, he was elected as the President of the Constitutional Convention, which wrote the United States Constitution. In 1789, George was unanimously elected as the first President of the United States. He served 2 terms and oversaw the creation of many important institutions, including the federal judiciary and the First National Bank. He also established many of the precedents that would shape the office of the president for future generations. After leaving office in 1797, George returned to Mount Vernon. He spent his remaining years managing his plantation and overseeing the education of his nephews and other young relatives. He died on 14 December 1799, at the age of 67. George Washington is remembered as one of the most important figures in American history. His military leadership during the Revolution and his role in establishing the new nation's government. Thanks for watching. Kindly like, share and subscribe.